Welcome to the Double Doinkers Fantasy Football Show with Nick Meyer and Willie J. This is your Week 17 Championship Week, typically anyway, show featuring injury reports and picks of the week. Because there's so many injuries, we're not going to have time to get into anything else. And I can almost guarantee you that right at the start of the show. If you're still in it right now and you have a healthy team, I would guess that you're a favorite. And I think that's...
I would guess that you're probably in the championship because you have, if not the healthiest team, like one of the healthiest teams, and or you drafted JSN. That's
yeah.
That's
those are the variables right now.
Yeah.
And if you drafted JSN, you have to hope you didn't have someone like Josh Allen. You know, he'd been killing it the whole week or the whole season. Of course, this week he doesn't because he gets hurt. Everyone got hurt. That should be the tagline of Week 17 this year. Is everyone got hurt. Which is it's typical. I think there's like a little bit of typicalness in this, where it's like in weeks in your normal year, the teams that do the best in season-long fantasy are the ones who manage to dodge the injury bug the best the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. But Week 16 was such a just on downpour of injuries all at once.
And you know, I think also there's probably a factor of the colder weather, especially like teams that condition in, say, you know, I don't know, like Miami or Texas, and they're coming up north and it's already Week 16. It's like, I think this is even though it's not the final week of the season, I feel like this really gives a good example of why the NFL can't expand an extra week. Even though having it be even would be cool. I think, you know, teams finishing 8-8 or 9-9, I like that, but I think we've hit the threshold of just how many weeks you can do as an NFL player on your body.
I feel like you would have to start continually keep on cutting off the preseason, which would just lead to sloppier play at the beginning of the season. So it's that trade-off.
Could kind of be fun. The first couple weeks are just total, like teams like the Raiders are going to beat the Patriots kind of thing, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I wonder is if that would mean that there would be more or less chance for these undrafted, unsigned players to actually break into the NFL, you know, because how much does preseason actually like matter on a player having a career?
For the undrafted, like later rookies, that's a good point. Yeah, that is. I think that's where it doesn't always stick, but like the players we've seen break out that started the year really well and continued it that were undrafted, they broke out preseason. So it's a good point.
Yeah, we look at like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in this example, right? Like he ended up taking over the starting job just based on what they were seeing during the preseason in camp. I mean, you know, and who knows what's happening inside the buildings unless they have Hard Knock on there. They could have been a whole different thing. But that's not postulating for Week 17. That's postulating for some time in the future, which is what is fun to do when you're a Raiders fan. Let me tell you, just keep postulating for the future. Trust me on that one. But we're in the here and now because of the I don't know, the depth of injuries this week. We're gonna start off with our picks for the week before we jump into the injuries, because injuries are going to cover every single game that we're going to talk about. They're going to cover every single team essentially, and there's very few that aren't injured, whereas the picks we can get through quick and then just rest and settle on that. So I want to go ahead and start off with the picks this week. And also, if you're listening right now, keep an ear out, because during this week we should be uploading videos that give you kind of like a year-end review of how we did it with our predictions at the starting of the year. I mean, like no one ever gets them all right, but I hope we at least did okay. I feel in my heart and my gut that we did pretty well.
I think at the very least, compared to other creators, we were average, and I think my personal picks were on the extremes of extremely wrong and extremely right. So
yeah,
it's a nice little blend.
Right, it feels that way for sure. It's like I feel pretty good about some of my picks, you know, but with any of these things, it's confusing because it's like, well, they were right the whole time. There were definitely weeks when it wasn't great.
Yeah, if you look at the whole picture, though, like I think the biggest discrepancy between our biggest doinkers, like I had Tony Pollard, that wasn't even on Tony, that was just on me having way too much faith in the Titans' offense. But I mean, you were pushing Cortland Sutton, and he's wide receiver 10 on the season. I think 9 or 10. So he had some down weeks. He finished way ahead of where people were taking him. So
yeah, and he's like been picking it back up recently, you know. So that's like also nice. It's like you did have a lull, and that stunk, but also, this is where I'm happy. We'll talk more about this next week, I suppose. But where I'm happy is that when the team looks better, they've been using the person who, like I said, they should be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm like, well, so the idea was right. And they just couldn't figure that out for forever anyway. But
Yeah.
let's talk about last week, because last week was such a mixed bag for me. I'll go ahead and start off with my nuclear. I'll just go through my list real quick for last week because it's up here. So Mike Wilson, Swole Mike, he did 13.2. That was one of my nuclear boys. It wasn't nuclear, but it wasn't bad. It was like more like wind power. The one I'm happiest with, my pick that I'm happiest with this week overall was I put Chris Olave in my nuclear boys, and he had a career game.
Yeah, that was the best game of his entire career. Yeah.
36.8 full nuke. Just I'm very happy with that. If you had Chris Olave and you were still in the playoffs at this point, you probably won a week, hopefully, just based on kind of this sort of production.
If my opponent had started DK over Chris Olave, I think I might have made the championship. So
yeah. Oh man, we'll talk about DK later, definitely. Aaron Jones Sr. was one of my gas guys. He did 11.3. There was a lot of injury weirdness in that game, especially with the running backs. I think they ran into each other and both injured each other at the same time. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. It seems like Jordan Mason got the worst end of the stick, but neither of them ended up blowing up for that reason. So 11.3, I'm going to just call it okay. It wasn't a great pick, wasn't a bad one. CJ Stroud was a bad pick. And that was a weird game overall because, of course, and this is what happens, right? I thought maybe the Raiders would come out and beat the Eagles, and that would be the surprise game, but it was the Texans because that was the one you definitely couldn't see coming. It was a team that absolutely needed to win.
It was down to the very wire, too.
The Raiders came out and they're like, let's be competent. And we'll talk about injuries, but I'm pretty sure this is exactly why they put Brock Bowers on IR.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't have both of you guys going off again because we're going to beat one of these teams on accident, and we can't do that. We just can't. Your knee hurts. Get out of here. But CJ Stroud, anyways, bad game. Darren Waller, bad game. That was a gut check start. Jalen Coker, bad game. Gut check start. No good. Didn't work out. And then my controversial sits were all terrible sits. I hope you didn't sit any of them. Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, and Derrick Henry all had amazing games. So
the Patriots' run defense has really fallen off since Milton Williams went out. So I think that was your logic behind not starting Derrick Henry. But I guess again also that factoring in Lamar getting injured, that was just a game that was prime for Derrick Henry, but didn't really seem it on paper.
Yeah, Lamar getting injured is what I attribute it to. So I'm not like super mad at the idea of all of this happening. It's just, what would you have guessed that he would have gotten a back contusion, missed most of the game?
Yeah, very, very weird injury. So my nukes for last week, mine was also a pretty mixed bag. Jonathan Taylor, he had an okay game as an RB1, but it wasn't like the kind of game that I was hoping it would be. The Niners defense wasn't even great. It's just the Colts defense was so bad that game was a shootout. The Drake London pick really was not it. They were still leaning on Kyle Pitts. I feel like they were wanting him to play again in the season, but at the same time, they still were still slowly easing him back in, even though he was playing a lot of snaps, wasn't getting looked at very much. Gas guys, Ted McMillan lived up to the hype I had about him a few weeks ago. So I think he's pretty solid, down the line for championship week. Jaden Reed, just pretty mediocre. I think he had like 8 points. Quinshon Judkins did not have a good game, but he was having a good game before he got injured. So, the Bills really got to take care of their run defense because every week there's somebody just going off. I'll talk about that in a minute here too. Gut check starts. Joe Burrow bounced back and then some. Just fantastic game. That one dud game against the Ravens is totally an anomaly because he's been, I think, at least 25 points every single week since he came back. So he's lighting it up. And then I had Colby Parkinson. I honestly I was not aware that the rest of the fantasy community was so in on him until after the game because I was on Reddit and reading about it, and apparently everyone had the same idea as we did. But it really was the guy that I said at the beginning of the season, Terrence Ferguson, that had a great game. So
he should have had a second touchdown. Terrence should have. That catch in the back of the end zone. Come on, like was it really a bobble? No. I don't think so.
He's looking good for next year, though. I think he's going to be more involved. And then the last one I had was Luther Burden. he just wasn't the guy. They spread the ball around a lot in that game, which was just, we'll talk about it a little more later, but it was a game. Controversial sets both hit though. Travis Kelce, Brian Thomas Jr. We're not big factors in their offense.
No. Yeah, the Chiefs. Everyone knows about the Chiefs' first injuries of their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. But in case you're wondering, Minshew is also dead now. So,
and yeah, if Minshew had played, maybe he would have targeted him more. But it was over.
Yeah, I know this is an interesting one because that team looks like it's a team that really does want to lose.
And I mean, understandably.
Yeah. Okay, so this week, championship week, we're doing this pretty early because we also are aware that if you're in the championship right now, with the depth of just the breadth of injuries that have happened and kind of the situations with the team, we know that your lineup's probably almost set. But we're going to talk about this and just like what we expect from certain players because that's what we do on a fantasy football podcast. This week, my first nuclear boy is Jahmyr Gibbs. And there's reasons for this. First off, the Lions are technically not eliminated. They have a lot of things that need to happen for them to make it into the playoffs. And it's not likely, don't get me wrong, but they're not eliminated. They're going against the Vikings, which have a pretty good defense. But I'm all in on David Montgomery burning bridges. And if he's going to burn bridges, I don't think Dan Campbell's the sort of guy who likes that stuff. I don't think he's going to come back and reward that sort of talk because David Montgomery got some notoriety for liking a post about him not getting the ball enough or him, the team not using him like they should. Maybe he should go somewhere else and take his talents elsewhere. Yeah. Which, I think they're going to be like, all right, fine. You want to go somewhere else? Gibbs, just proving why that you're the guy,
Gibbs is eligible for is he? I don't think. He's eligible for contract extension after the season, so that could lead to some shakeups with the Lions' run game.
Mm-hmm. So I think Gibbs is going to have a great game against the Vikings. The Vikings don't have an offense that matters at this point because J.J. McCarthy once again is out. So it's a divisional game, so I'm not going to say the Lions are just going to blow them away because the Lions haven't really been doing that anyways lately. However, I think this is going to be a Gibbs game. The other nuclear boy I have is Mike Evans. He's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 7-8, technically not out of it. Also, if they win, they jump to a 67% chance to making the playoffs.
Yeah, if they win and the Panthers lose, it will come down to their matchup against the Panthers next week. So definitely a must-win game.
Yeah, and so this is against the Dolphins. The Dolphins who are starting Quinn Ewers. They have a better run defense than a pass defense lately. And Mike Evans has looked like the best target for Baker as soon as he came back, and they're going to just lean on him. I just think it's going to be a great game for Mike Evans in this particular one. So hit me with your nuke boys.
My nuclear boys, first, I think is one we've talked about a lot already and one we definitely share. Trey McBride against the Bengals linebackers. He definitely had a down game last week. Unfortunately, I think was his worst game of the season. And I want to say his only game of the season under 14 points. So very disappointing. But I think against the Bengals, I think that goes without saying. I think he's going to have a great week. I have Saquon going up against the Bills' run defense. Definitely not a must-win game for either team. But I think Eagles having locked up the NFC East, I think they're going to take advantage of the Bills' run defense. And Saquon's gotten significantly better since the Bears game, and I think this is his opportunity to really have his statement game of the season. So definitely like Saquon this week. And then my last nuclear boy, I got an extra one here, is Drake May, just because I think the Patriots are really set up to get the number one seed in the AFC. So they have to beat the Jets, which will be easy. But I mean, we've seen what Trevor Lawrence and Tyler Shuck have done against the Jets in the recent weeks, and I think that Drake May could definitely have his best game of the season.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Absolutely. Both the Broncos and the Patriots being the two top tier teams in the AFC right now, and the Broncos having maybe a slightly harder path ahead of them. Patriots are going to try to take advantage. It's hard for me to say because KC is not really a harder path than the Jets right now, but they feel like they are.
Yeah. The Broncos then have the Chargers while the Patriots have the Dolphins week 18 though. So
So we'll go into gas, guys. I'm going to also bring up a Patriots player here because Ramondre Stevenson is going to be my first gas guy, and that's only if Henderson ends up being out. But I would guess that Henderson is out. If Henderson plays, then you can just insert him here. I'm fine with that. But Ramondre Stevenson, Terrell Davis just got put on IR. Travion, concussion, limited practice on Wednesday, which means there's a chance that he's back. But I think it would be more likely that he sits a week.
Mm.
And this is the Jets we're talking about. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to run. Like, if they get up 2 scores, the game's pretty much over. And I know it's a divisional matchup, so anything can happen. But with the Jets, anything can happen doesn't feel like the good version of it. It feels like that means it could be 32-0 or 68-0.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Ramondre is going to have a great game, especially if he's just the guy back there, because he could just volume his way to a great game, even if he's not particularly playing well.
I like it.
Yeah, and then my second guy that I'm choosing here is Kenneth Gainwell. And they're going against the Browns. The Browns do have a good defense, you know, but Kenneth Gainwell has been a pretty efficient runner as well as a receiver, and DK Metcalf has been suspended for 2 games, and as we've seen with the rest of the Steelers passing game, if it's not Darnell Washington, pretty much nothing is sticky. Nothing seems to be like the main primary option. Kenneth Gainwell likely will become the primary option in the receiving game. It just wouldn't shock me at all, and I think he could PPR his way into relevance regardless of how well the Browns play the Steelers. This isn't a game I'm super confident the Steelers are going to win, because this is the sort of game they like to lose when they need it the most. But I think either which way, Kenneth Gainwell's going to have a great game.
Gainwell's at the point too where if he has another great game against the Browns, to end the season, that he sets himself up to have a really nice contract either on the Steelers or elsewhere next year. So big statement.
It's important to him.
Yeah. I got 2 gas guys. My first one for the week is Trevor Lawrence. I think it's just simple as just riding that hot hand. Like, I could consider putting him in Nuclear Boys. I think that what we've seen from him the past, I think it's 5 weeks with 14 touchdowns and no turnovers. Not only is that who he was drafted to be a few years ago, but that it's starting to look like this offense, since getting Jacoby Myers and since Lawrence has been really acclimated with Liam Cohen's system, that this really could be the quarterback that we see Trevor Lawrence continue to be. I mean, maybe not at his level, but it's looking like it's legit, not a fluke. And I think that Lawrence is absolutely a player you can start over a lot of quarterbacks.
What this isn't relevant for this week per se, but when Travis Hunter comes back next season, what do you think that's like? Do you think that elevates him again, or do you think it murks up the offense?
Trevor Lawrence or Jacoby?
No, Travis Hunter even.
You're just saying like the offense in general?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it can do anything but help, especially Trevor Lawrence. We haven't seen Travis Hunter and Jacoby Myers together either, so
yep.
I think the more weapons, the better. I wouldn't be surprised if they start to define a role for Travis Hunter instead of the splits, because they've seen what's happened, and I think that with Jacoby there, he just signed a big contract. Maybe we see Travis Hunter.
Good for you, Jacoby. By the way, like, that's awesome.
Seriously, yeah, it was a big one.
He deserves it, man. He's good.
He's really good, and he's having like the best streak of his career. And yeah, I think that's why we maybe start to see Travis Hunter, the cornerback, being more of a solidified position. And then my last guy, similar, riding the hot hand. I think RJ Harvey's just having a great end of season, going up against the Chiefs run defense, which is banged up. It's just kind of enough said. This is a game that the Broncos are pretty inevitably going to win, even though it's a divisional matchup. It really feels like it's very, very, very likely, and there's no reason why they can't just lean on the run game, and by virtue of the passing game as well, because RJ's great at that. So he definitely could have another fantastic game.
Wonderful. Okay. We'll move to gut check starts. And my first gut check start here is Christian Watson, which I don't like. It feels maybe like he could go into the gas guys at certain points, but I think the Jordan Love confusion is what's going to really. And here's my thought is that the Packers are likely in the playoffs, but they still could miss out in a couple of scenarios. And Christian Watson has been the person who I think has proven to be the most reliable receiver on their team. Jacobs is banged up. Even if he plays, it's not going to be at 100% at this point at all. And Christian Watson is going to be the second most reliable player on that team as far as lengthwise. I'm missing a couple words from that sentence, but I think you understand what I'm laying down here. So Christian Watson, I think he's going to have a great week this week, regardless of who is the quarterback. Of course, if it's Jordan Love, raise the ceiling up. But if it's Malik Willis, that's fine too. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think he's one that you don't want to sit if he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, like the big play potential is there in a game that they really need to win. This quick side note, I think I was reading that I think it's two divisional matchups. I think in the AFC, it's either going to be the Texans or the Colts that get the last playoff spot, and then the Packers or the Lions that get the last playoff spot.
Oh, see, so it's nasty. It's coming down. So in this case, the Packers, they would have to lose both the next two games. Yeah. So
yeah, and then the Lions would have to win both.
Okay, that makes sense. So it seems rather unlikely, but man, that Jordan Love injury is going to be is an important one.
Yeah.
So many injuries this week. Goodness gracious. And my second gut check start is Trey Tucker for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think you could actually plug in Trey Tucker in place of a few different established receivers here. The reason being they put Brock Bowers on IR. And that's easily their number one pass catcher. The Giants have a terrible defense. This is the for a Raiders fan, this is the game of the season right here. The only last two remaining 2-win teams. Whoever wins this is lost out ultimately.
Go Giants.
Yeah, go Giants, please, man. Jackson Dart, I need a career game from you right now, right here. I refuse to put any Giants players on my must start list though, because that's bad. That's bad mojo. So what I'm doing is I'm putting Trey Tucker in my must start list. So that way, if he hurts me and I get it wrong here, he helps me in real life. So if you want to run it, there's a little bit of a hedge going on here. But I also, with that said, that's not why I'm doing this exactly. I do believe Trey Tucker can have a great game this particular matchup. The Giants are bad offense. Ashton Genty and Trey Tucker are the two people who we've seen produce before on this team, and I don't see any reason why they're not the two who end up producing the offensive yards this week for the Raiders.
Trey Tucker, I think that one really big game he has was the first week that Brock Bowers was out earlier in the season, I believe. So.
And Trey Tucker has shown flashes before. It isn't just these 2 games of the season. Last year, he had a handful of pretty usable weeks. Gosh, the offense this year has been bad, though. So, it is what it is.
My gut check starts. I got 3 ones real quick. Similar logic to Kenneth Gainwell. With DK being out, I think this could be very well ripe for a Jonnu Smith big game. I would say an Adam Thielen big game. Like my gut check would be Jonnu Smith, but if you're feeling really gutty, maybe like one last great Adam Thielen game. It could happen.
Aaron Rodgers to Adam Thielen's like 75 years of football. Just hitting you.
Just playing too, not even like an age.
Yes, it's wild. It's insane.
And then if George Kittle is out, and honestly, this is if you're really feeling gutty, even if George Kittle isn't out, maybe start Jake Tonsel, whatever. Tight end 2 on the 49ers. I think he's a very, very solid play if Kittle's out, but
he really deserved a touchdown also.
Yeah, he did. And was that like the last? Was that the 6th touchdown Purdy would have thrown? I think it was towards the end of the game.
No, because he still threw the touchdown to Christian McCaffrey on the play right after that. But it should have been a touchdown to Tonjes. So if you lost to a Christian McCaffrey touchdown, blame the refs, because that was 100% a catch. That was one that I think everyone, even the reviewers, like that was a good catch. And then 49ers was like, oh, we just really don't care. Just end this game.
They didn't even challenge.
Yeah, just keep moving.
But yeah, Tonjes, he's had some games earlier in the season that were good, and I think that he's a solid play with all the Niners injuries, and with them playing the Bears, it's going to be a shootout. So expect the pass catchers to really benefit.
Heck yeah. Okay.
And then my last one real quick, just because if Tyler Huntley starts, I feel like you can maybe trust your gut on Zay Flowers this week. He got a lot of targets. He's really, really boomer bust, but in a must-win game against the Packers secondary, if Huntley's starting, I think Zay Flowers could repeat. with an ever great game. We'll see.
Zay to me doesn't like. This is a good gut check because for me with Zay, it doesn't really make a difference right now if it's Lamar or not, because Lamar and the way he's been playing, it hasn't been exceptionally good for the wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, do you believe that the Ravens passing game, with or without Lamar, can get anything going? And if the answer is yes, then Zay should be probably part of that. So,
I think that Zay was like by a total of like at least 3 targets more. He was the most targeted by Huntley. So, that's something to look at too.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so controversial sits. This is the area that's been killing me these last few weeks for real. But I'm gonna start off with an easy one, which means it's probably not that controversial. Don't play Colby Parkinson again. I don't care what's going on. Falcons are good against tight ends, even with him having because I don't think it was the target volume that we missed out on with Parkinson last week. It's just that he wasn't catching them. And I don't expect the target volume to remain the same. So if you can pivot off of Colby Parkinson as a tight end, even for maybe like lesser choices, I would. I don't think this is his week at all.
I agree. I think I would start, like I was saying, I would start Jonnu and Jake over Colby for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And then again, I'm not starting a single Vikings player if I don't have to. Not one of them. They're all off the table. The Vikings have something to play for. JJ McCarthy's out. This is going to be a nasty game for the Vikings. The only chance they have to win is for full on defensive stands. This offense, I don't have an ounce of faith that they're going to click.
No. Yeah, with Max Brasmer, he has nowhere to go but up. But even that's not enough.
Not against a team that's desperate for a win right now. Like in a team that is clearly there's some bad mojo going on, but like if there's one guy who I would trust to kind of be able to harness bad mojo right now, it's still Dan Campbell. Until I see him like completely fail out the season and hear some players getting madder, then I'm gonna trust him to be able to find a way to maybe harness that a little bit.
I like it. Mm-hmm. Actually, same game this week, I believe. My first controversial sit is okay. First, I'll preface this by saying this team had a total of 12 carries for 15 yards. And that team you might maybe think is of the Jets or a team with a bad run game like the Titans or the Chiefs, but it was the Lions last week.
Yeah.
David Montgomery led the team in yards with 4 carries for 14 yards. So that was 7 times as many as Gibbs. So while I would start Gibbs this week because he still had a really good game with the PPR pass catching upside, Montgomery did not. And that was against the Steelers run defense. And I think that going against the Vikings run defense, Montgomery, even if he's trying to show out and like have a really good game to prove himself, I just don't trust Montgomery to have a startable game this week. Having said that, I think Gibbs is absolutely still a nuclear play because of what he does as a wide receiver. But Montgomery is just rough.
Yeah, and like I said, like the vibes are super bad there with Montgomery in particular. Like he's straight coming out and criticizing the team, and you can I think with like players, you can greasy wheel and criticize the team in the middle of winning, in the middle of at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, at the end of the season when playoff stakes are on the line. You can't come out and ask for greasy wheel stuff. Like,
no,
this is a must win. We put you on the bench if you're not giving us the best opportunity.
And I think, yeah, exactly. Even with it being a must win, like using Montgomery as little as possible, I think is the way to do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then my last guy, I feel like David Montgomery and this guy have been on multiple of our sits this season, and they mostly paid off. My other guy here is Michael Pittman, not because the matchup against the Jaguars is particularly that hard, but because Phillip Rivers is not looking his way very much. I think in back-to-back weeks, Pittman has been the 4th most targeted player on this team. I think even Jonathan Taylor got more targets last week. So Pittman just has not done anything with Rivers, and going up against a pretty stout Jaguars defense in a divisional game, I would look anywhere else but Pittman.
Rivers has eyes for Pierce right now.
Mm-hmm. Trying to get Pierce that payday.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Phillip Rivers, he didn't look terrible, but that pick 6 was so bad. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up going with the what's his name, not Rivers, but who was the young guy?
Riley
Yeah,
Leonard.
I wouldn't be super surprised if they went Riley, but this still I think would apply to Pittman in that case.
I think it's very, very, very likely that if the Colts win this week and they're out, that Leonard will get the start week 18 because they want to see what they got.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like Riley has really shown anything that makes you feel good. Can you imagine the Colts 8-2 trading for Sauce Gardner 2 first-round picks? Like this is their run. They're gonna make it. They're gonna do it. It just looks phenomenal. And then this fall off.
It sucks. I feel bad for the Colts. I will say that, and this is a hot take, and it just because it makes sense in the Steichen system, but if Daniel Jones's knee is really bad and he can't start until the middle of last season, I think they move on and sign Malik Willis.
Oh, I don't hate that. I do wonder if you like this Malik. Do you think Malik will just carry over the success he's had as a Packers backup when he's come in to a new team?
I want to say yes because in college at Liberty he was great, and the only time he's looked really really bad was on the Titans. And I would definitely say that Shane Steichen's system is much more akin to a Matt LaFleur system, where a quarterback like Willis can flourish as opposed to the Titans. I don't think Willis is like one of those guys that came in and is just good because he's fitting a team system, because he's a very different quarterback than Jordan Love. So on the Packers, we've really just seen him be a good player. So I think it would be worth the risk to have him on the Colts if Daniel Jones is just not startable.
I like that. I like that a lot. Even if Daniel Jones is startable, we saw like some of his play peter off halfway through. I don't know that I hate the idea of them trying to pick up someone who could be a potential replacement either which way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson, I guess he has one more year, but that's whatever. I think the only way you work with Jones is if you sign him to like a maybe even slightly less than a Sam Darnold Seahawks contract and let it go that way. Like, don't sign him to a big deal, but sign him to a 3-year deal where you can get out after a year if necessary.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And that tracks, because if Daniel Jones resembles the Daniel Jones of the Giants that we saw at times, then you're in a bad place. And we've seen that more often.
Even if his football IQ has like really increased and he's good in the system, like it's an Achilles injury. He could just be cooked.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so those are our picks for Week 17. If you're in the championship and need some picks, hopefully that has helped you in some sort of way or made you like more aware of what you need to do. Let's go ahead and just jump into this injury report, because this is what's going to take up, I think, the vast majority of the rest of the time, if not the whole thing. So, Willie, I have a huge list. I'll still ask if you recognize I'm not saying anyone. Let me know.
Okay.
And I'm going to go by position, because I've had to do a little bit of organizing because of how many there are. So I'm going to start off with Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills quarterback. He suffered a foot injury at the end of the first half, so the end of the second quarter. He returned to the field, completed the game. It seems like he's going to be just fine. Limited participant Wednesday. Still something to watch out for, because the Bills have clinched a spot, and I don't know that they have a path at all to better. Well, no, they're 11-4, so I suppose if they win 2 games and anyone like the Patriots lose,
it would
2 games.
That's what it would be, and it's similar to the Packers Lions, but with the Bills and Patriots. The Patriots are playing the like I said, the Jets and the Dolphins, so there really is no path.
Yeah. So I'm not really overly worried about it. I'd bet he plays. Josh Allen plays through anything he can. Maybe just lowers his ceiling a teeny bit, but I wouldn't actually even count on that, to be honest. Lamar Jackson, QB Baltimore Ravens. You always know who Lamar Jackson is. He suffered a back injury during the second quarter and was out for the rest of the game against the New England Patriots. He's got apparently a gigantic contusion, which is just a huge bruise on his back. But if it was enough to keep him out of a game that they must win, then it probably is pretty bad. You have to imagine. So he's listed as day-to-day, non-participant Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and guess that Lamar's out.
They're playing Saturday, I believe, too.
So. Let's see. I do believe that is correct. Yeah, Saturday, December 27th. So Yeah, I don't have faith. I would say he's out most likely, and if he is out, we talked about Tyler Huntley coming in and what that means. Zay Flowers, I agree, bump. Um, Probably a bump to Derrick Henry as well.
Yeah.
And then everyone else downgrade pretty. I don't, like Mark Andrews is so touchdown dependent, it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's really no one else on this team that you would start ever. But I agree that I think even with Huntley starting, it doesn't lower the ceiling, or it doesn't lower the floor at all of Henry or Flowers.
Yeah, and so here's a question for you. The Ravens are going against the Packers, so this is not an easy game. Regardless, this is going to be a highly contested game. If the Ravens are able to keep it competitive, could you maybe play Keaton Mitchell as a flex? Because that would mean if you believe the Ravens are going to be competitive, I would imagine it's mostly on the run game. Keaton Mitchell's there. Justice Hill's not.
Is that other guy, like, what's his name? Something Ali? Is he a
Ali,
running?
Rasheen Ali, I think, and I think he is a running back.
Okay. I don't know. I remember watching that Patriots game. There was some talk about how Keaton Mitchell looked, not just with the eye seeing him, but like the commentators talking about it. He was a pretty decently drafted running back. I think he was a third round pick, and he's been injured a lot for the Ravens. So I think a very, very gutsy flex play. But hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I bring it up. I like Keaton Mitchell whenever I watch him play, but yeah, he can't stay on the field. I just, I suppose it's probably too rich for a championship game either which way.
if you're in the toilet bowl and you need upside play though, Mitchell's somebody to look at.
Mitchell, yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. Jordan Love, QB of the Green Bay Packers. We were talking about him being hurt early. It's not. He's in the concussion protocol, so do we see him come back? We aren't sure. It's always hard to say. But he left against the Chicago Bears in the first half. We saw Malik Willis come in. They are playing on Saturday. He did get a limited practice on Tuesday, so like all possibilities are still open, even though there's a Saturday game. Where do you feel about this one? Like, do you think that they push to get Jordan Love back, or do you think they let Malik Willis take the keys?
I think Malik Willis maybe had a limited injury, but he's healthy again now. He was a full participant at practice today, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's really a factor in the start. I do want to just go on a quick tangent here, talk about that game last week. That was probably my favorite football game I've ever watched in my entire life. And I'm not being hyperbolic.
I love it.
That was a game that, like a core memory kind of game, which I don't have a lot of those. The first 3.5 quarters, I was watching the game, but I really wasn't paying much attention because it was pretty boring. It was a defensive slogfest. There was field goals. It was cold, yada yada. The last few minutes of the fourth quarter into overtime, the Bears winning, that was unbelievably exciting. But just how much, given the rivalry between the two teams and just how much was on stake for the division, every single second of that game was so intense. There was so many plays that, every single drive was just exciting. Like, I was, not just as a fan, I hope to say, but just as a football fan, it was extremely exciting.
Hey, congrats to the Bears on gutting that out and winning it, man. I mean, it didn't look like that was going to happen, to be honest.
I want to say that they have the most wins. They've had 6 games where they've won in the final 2 minutes of any team in the Super Bowl era.
That's crazy. A scary place to be.
It is. But I mean, they clinched the playoff spot, which is unbelievable. Doing it against the Packers is unbelievable. I don't want to speak anything into existence, but if the Bears lose to the Packers in the playoffs, wild card, that would suck. But I'm still happy they made it.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Happy they won that game. That was, special teams meltdown from the Packers aside, that was just a special game. That was probably the best Bears win since they made the NFC Championship, almost 15 years ago. I can't think of another game that was a better win than that.
That's crazy. Right, just gets the blood pumping, gets everything going. Yeah, that's awesome. I am excited because the Bears turning it around like this is pretty rad. Um, I'm a little jealous because you know you get a new coach that does good, and this is what happens. But also building up your O line, guys. Again, I've talked about this a few different times. When you build up your O line, it turns out you've clinched playoffs the next season. That's crazy, isn't it?
Bears had a bottom five O line last season, and not only did they have a great O line this season, but two of their new players made the Pro Bowl,
Yeah.
which is really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're the one. Maybe there was another team that there was multiple O linemen that made the Pro Bowl, but that turnaround really shows like culture coaching is so important. Quarterback play is so important, but like you've talked about, like you can turn around a franchise in one season with an O line upgrade, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why
Mm-hmm.
the Bears are here. That's why.
It's like okay, and I hate to bring up the Raiders. That's just the team that I pay the most attention to, right? The offensive showing last week wasn't that. There was one aspect in which it wasn't that surprising. There was the aspect that they got Colton Miller back,
Mm-hmm.
their left tackle, who's been like their franchise left tackle for forever and has been out most of the season. He finally came back for some god awful reason in the end of this season, and the offense started looking better. And it's like, dude, it's just O line. That is literally 90% of what is going on with all these teams that suck.
Genty
And
looks really good.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's crazy when you can open up even one hole on a drive that you couldn't open up beforehand. How much of a difference that makes.
Yeah, like
Uh, that is to say, though, congrats to the Bears for real, for real. There was that game, and then that Seahawks Rams game were just both nuts.
that. Yeah,
Uh,
we were back to back. Like I mean, there was the Eagles Commanders in between there, but having those games start the week really like the whole weekend was exciting. But I mean, it went downhill from those two games. Not many games this
mhm.
season from either team, any team compared to those.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, it was blood pumping. Like I've been out of the playoffs for a minute, and these aren't even teams that I like root for generally. But these games are fantastic. If you like football, you watch these. Yeah, you enjoyed it a lot. So that was awesome. Um,
Oh, but
go on.
Jordan Love. Is that where we're at? Jordan Love.
Yeah, we're at Jordan Love.
I was just gonna say maybe this is another hot take, but if Jordan Love starts, I would not play him. But if Malik Willis starts, I'd consider it.
Malik Willis is a better rushing upside.
Yeah,
It probably provides a better floor as far as a quarterback play goes. I don't hate that take. I would guess that just judging by the way he's moving through the concussion protocol, if I had to put my money on it, I'd guess that Jordan Love plays.
I would as well.
Yeah, quarterbacks seem to get out of concussion protocol a little bit faster than everyone else. You know, tell me how your brain heals faster based on your position. I don't know, but they do seem to.
Less contact, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would guess that Jordan Love ends up playing personally. JJ McCarthy, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, he's out, fractured his right hand. Just after missing his whole entire rookie season to an injury, this sophomore season has also been injury plagued. I think the question will be, first off, Max Brosmer. I already said what I think. This hurts. It's not like you had a lot of faith in Vikings players beforehand. I have absolutely zero faith in them after this.
Yeah.
Don't, if you have Vikings players and you're in the championship, this is where you just lost some players and you need to plug in holes.
If you have Vikings players and you're in the championship,
yeah, something else is going on here. Max Brosmer starting, that sucks. This makes the Detroit Lions defense a pretty good play if you can get them. I think even with their injuries.
I agree.
And question for you is: do you think that the Vikings go out and try to sign a QB, or do they give McCarthy one more year?
I mean, they have to do both. Honestly, they have to do both. I mean,
Okay.
it's possible they pivot off of him, but I don't know what they would trade him for. And he's not costing enough that it hurts their roster at all.
He was NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
He was. Remember that? That's what lit a fire under the Bears' butt. Honestly,
Probably they're like, we gave that guy this. Oh, jeez.
I don't know who it would be. I mean, Aaron Rodgers would make the most sense just in terms of history, but I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones screams as the most likely answer, but the Vikings would have to trade for him, which doesn't really feel worth it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, what do they do? Mac Jones makes the most sense, but It's hard to say. They got to add somebody.
I agree because I think if they have another year like this one, Kevin O'Connell suddenly does start getting a little hot seedy. Now I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that he should be, but I think that he will because they're not going to like seeing Justin Jefferson losing years of his career essentially to whatever's happening right here.
Yeah.
Um, and that can spiral for a long time. But anyways, JJ McCarthy being out doesn't affect people other than don't play Vikings players, which you probably already really didn't want to play anyway. Commanders quarterbacks non-existent. Marcus Mariota out. As we all know, Jaden Daniels is out. Mariota suffered hand and quad injuries against the Eagles.
Ow.
Yeah, he got hurt. I don't like when Mariota gets hurt.
No.
Were you gonna play any Commanders players? I mean, it's the thing that stinks is that like this could have been a potentially juicy week. I mean, the Cowboys defense has been better, but that doesn't mean they've been great, right? And divisional matchups are the sort of matchups in the NFC East where like any player can go off. Do you play Chris Rodriguez in this case?
No. I think that committee's just too much of a committee. I think it's really between Terry and Debo. I think one could have a really good game. Could. The
Mm-hmm.
other will not. I don't see Josh Johnson supporting both of these guys. I don't. The Commanders really have nothing to play for, and I don't think they need to win this game or want to win this game. So it's probably a hard sit, but much better ceiling than any Vikings player.
Yeah, yeah. They're not going against a team that's desperate. Cowboys are out too, so
Yeah.
so this is one of those like they're playing because the players play and they need to get stats and they need to show off and they need to get contracts. So this isn't to say like neither team is going to show up. People will show up from the state game.
Yeah.
Just who can you count on is a question. And I also agree with you. I was thinking about Terry McLaurin as maybe like a sneaky start, but I can't go that far as to like list him. But Terry is one of those guys where I could see like wanting to kind of bolster his season after missing most of it and try to pick up something in a very pretty meaningless game.
Yeah. And he like that Broncos game, he looked great. I think that, we could go through a whole laundry list of who you would start in the flex over Terry, but like just as an example, like I would start Alec Pierce over Terry.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in this spot where if you have players that like have something to play for right now, specifically that even if it's like a mathematical improbability, it's almost impossible. If it's not impossible, you still probably want to get someone if you can from one of these teams.
Yeah.
Because in each of these games, like a playoff game, they put it all on the line. Okay, now we're on the running backs. Is there any other quarterbacks that we missed? Of course, Minshew. I guess we should mention he just got his leg destroyed.
Yeah, that's just the guy, Chris something. I think he was on the Steelers like 2 years ago. He's a younger quarterback, but there's nothing to look at there. The other one I was going to mention, and it's just really completely irrelevant, but Justin Fields was placed on season-ending IR. So it will be the Brady Cook show the rest of the year, I believe, because I think Tyrod Taylor is on IR.
I think Tyrod Taylor, like he came back to practice actually, but like I think they already said that Brady Cook's the dude. Like they're not gonna pivot back because why would they at this point? Like who Tyrod is.
Yeah, you don't want to win any games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Minshew going out like we mentioned before. God, just don't with the Chiefs players. Don't you dare.
The only Chief player that you would start every week, regardless, would be Rashee Rice, and he's out for the season. So
they shelved as many people as they could at the end of this game. They're just like, okay, everyone who's hurt, IR you. See you later. Go take a break. And then, okay, I didn't want to get into this right here, but I feel like I'm gonna get into this right here because it's in my mind, and I'm a little miffed about it. Kansas, and I'm not talking about Kansas City. I'm talking about Kansas, the state. 100% funding the stadium for the Hunts and then requiring no revenue back from that funding. Get the bad word out of here, man. You kidding me? Why? The Hunts don't need you.
No.
They're using you. I couldn't believe that they got all, like, my God.
Also, Missouri, the state of Missouri, I think is supposedly going to be on the hook for the entire demolition of the Arrowhead
Mm-hmm.
Stadium,
Mm-hmm.
which is
I
weird.
I know. I've trust me. I've known that the Chiefs are evil for as long as I've existed, and I know also that they're not in this alone. Most teams would do this deal if they could get it. But come on, Kansas. The state of Kansas should be ashamed. Whoever okayed this deal. Just I'm sorry. It was an aggravating one. I read it and I'm like, this sucks. Of course, like this is gonna be boring games to watch, and then we're gonna have to see them get all the money in the world for everything.
At least people that struggle with geography will be satisfied to know that Kansas City is in Kansas.
Yeah, it'll be a lot less confusing. Uh, but if hey, I visited Kansas last year, and there are all Kansas City fans. So
Yeah,
tracks.
you gotta have something to look forward to there.
Let's move on to running backs. We're gonna start with Josh Jacobs. He's had aggravations in his knee injury 2 weeks in a row. This week, it's almost certainly going to be the exact same thing as last week's. He's not going to practice questionable plays. Is he going to get the points or is he not? Take a guess. But if you have Josh Jacobs and he's playing, I don't see how you sit him.
Yeah, I mean, at least he has a longer week this time. Instead of having 4 days, he has 9 days. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something, but still, I don't know.
It's this is a situation that really stinks. If you had Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, all you can hope for is Josh Jacobs sitting. It would be the most amazing thing in the world because Josh Jacobs needs to sit first off to get better.
Yeah,
And second off, Emmanuel Wilson could be amazing if he was given all the opportunity, but he's just not. But I would guess it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same as each other week that's happened up to this point. Like if he hasn't sat yet, he's not going to sit now when they still haven't clinched.
yeah.
That's it. Quinshon Judkins is out for the season. Broke his leg. Sucks. You hate to see a rookie that came on like that break his leg end of season, potentially impact the next season. Dislocated ankle.
Dislocated ankle. Different injury as Cam Scatabo, but very similarly gnarly injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could just see him when he fell and his leg was pointing in two different directions. You don't like that. So, Dylan Sampson is also dealing with his own injuries. I don't know if Dylan Sampson is going to be back. If he is back, I'd suppose he would be an okay play. This is the Browns running backs we're talking about. So the level of optimism in their play is capped by the fact that their team stinks.
It is, and I want to ask you. I want to ask you this: do you think that the Steelers' run defense? Okay, do you think the Steelers' run defense shut down the Lions last week, or something else was up with the play calling for Detroit? Because if McGibbs and Montgomery are putting up 13 yards, what is Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford going to do?
The Steelers' defense has been one of the most confusing units in football for me because it seems to yo-yo between we look elite and can stop anyone to we actually don't play the game of football anymore.
The only factor that I've seen with the run defense is when Derek Harmon, the first round rookie out of Oregon, is on the field versus when he's not, because he's been absolutely elite this year. He was the player that his mom passed away just after he was
Okay.
drafted. So really, really
Yeah.
sad. But like he's played for something this year. He's looked awesome when he's on the field. So I think he is still playing. He's missed like maybe 8 games at least this year, but he was a big factor last game.
Which that seems to track because like last year when the Steelers were good, it was TJ Watt completely, right? And it was
Yeah,
like you can see that they have like linchpins on their defense, and if they have another one, that's great. TJ Watt's out, but like he was out last week, and they completely stifled the run. So,
yeah,
my answer to you is I think it was the Steelers defense because I don't think the Lions can really kneecap themselves that hard. I don't think that it's possible to take these two players that are good and great and completely screw them up.
yeah,
The defense has to do that. So,
yeah.
but the Browns are this team that's an enigma in the fact that they played the AFC North. so much differently than they play any other team. They can go against a team outside their division and just look like they are so incompetent. And then they play an AFC North team and they're in it until the last second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, if Samson's the only guy there and you're struggling and you don't know who to play at running back, let's say you're making a choice between Pacheco and Samson's the dude, play Samson.
Mm-hmm. Upside's there.
Yeah. And he can catch passes. So, I mean, I don't have, like, a huge ceiling for him, and I also don't have, like, a low floor, but there's, like, this potential for a mid-range. Oh, I hate that when I say it out loud, but it's the truth. You know what? I mean, like, if you have someone who has absolutely no ceiling, I'd play Dylan Sampson over him.
Yeah, especially over someone like that's on the Chiefs.
If Dylan Sampson's not in, I'm not playing a running back from the Browns. So ignore that. Get out of there. Javonte Williams, the running back for the Dallas Cowboys, is looking like he's going to play. He hurt his neck. He came back, finished the game, and it sounds like he's going to be okay. Javonte, I assume he plays, and if he plays, he's a great start this week.
Yeah, against the Commanders, like Cowboys maybe have nothing to play for, but even in the games where their offense is just startable every week. They're starters, so
yeah. And Javonte, like he has something to play for. He hasn't had a great career up to this point. He has had flashes, but finishing a year with better stats is going to just help him out in his next contract that he gets.
Yeah.
Travion Henderson for the New England Patriots. This one seems important. He got a concussion against the Ravens. He's technically on track that he could play this week.
Could be 6 days because it was Monday night. Yeah.
And he had a limited practice. So, like, he could get out of it. If he doesn't, then it's Ramondre Stevenson because, again, Terrell Davis is on IR. They did sign Elijah Mitchell to the practice squad. Yeah, so I don't know how much that matters to me. It could because of the way the Patriots' run game is. Like Elijah Mitchell could take up too much of the volume to make all of them a little bit awful. But I do have Ramondre Stevenson listed in my gas guys. So if Henderson does play, fine play. I don't think they're going to throw him out there if he's not ready, and it's a concussion, right? So it's a head injury, which I'm not going to say it's less serious. It's just, to me, less impactful on his volume.
If someone passes concussion protocol and they play, they're not going to be limited in the same way as any other injury.
Like you're not going to see him like not be able to cut because he hit his head. So I'm fine. Like I said, if Henderson plays, I would put Henderson over Ramondre. If Henderson doesn't, then Ramondre is going to have a smash game. I love it.
Yeah.
That's my delineation here. I don't think it impacts anyone else in this offense. It's the Jets, so what can it impact?
Yeah.
Aaron Jones. I'm going to go ahead and say Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I'm just going to combine them here. Don't play them. Please don't play them. I don't care if they're in or out.
I think Mason is out officially, or
I think so as well. I have to double check this. He's not listed on this because
he's out of your fantasy leagues. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he should have been for a long time too. Okay, so Aaron Jones. No, this isn't right because this is an old thing that I'm seeing that he's placed on injured reserve. That's not it. I'm not getting a lot of help here, but yeah, either way, okay. Aaron Jones. We'll go to Aaron Jones because I think he has more potential than Jordan Mason to actually be someone you may be playing. I still wouldn't. This week, I'm looking to avoid everyone. Aaron Jones, it was a non-participant practice Monday, but he was limited on Tuesday. So I think he's probably expected to play this week. I am 100% avoiding him as much as I can.
Yeah, even against the Lions' run defense, still not a good play. Just because, like, I get, like, if Brosmer's bad, they're going to lean on the run game, but Brosmer is most likely so bad that they're not even going to get the opportunity to run the ball or even have the ball, honestly.
Yeah. I think the Lions' offense, it hasn't clicked in the same way that you would expect all the time, but I think it's still good enough that they're not going to allow the Vikings to just sit there and run the ball over and over and over and over and over again and stay in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brosmer, like Aaron Jones, the thing about Aaron Jones is that he's a pass catching back that could be part of a comeback victory if they were a team that could be producing a comeback victory right now. I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
So I'm out on him either which way. Jaylen Warren got a hip injury in the win against the Detroit Lions last week. He was limited practice on Wednesday, so he's almost certainly going to play on week 17. I don't think that there's any doubt here. Warren is expected, in my mind, to play, and he's a great start. I still think Kenneth Gainwell is a great start. The missing DK and the way the pass game has been going for the Steelers really just makes both the running backs also patch catchers.
I agree. Even against the Browns, pretty solid run defense. I think that they're both startable. I think that this is going to be the game that Myles Garrett breaks the sack record as well.
On Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And again, the Steelers. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not just poetic. It feels like it's written that it will happen. Yep. So that, I think affects the passing game much more than the run game. So
Okay, I'm gonna lay out some crazy stars here right now. Okay. Fourth quarter. Steelers are up 24-6.
Okay.
Myles Garrett needs just one sack. Mason Rudolph subs into the game. And Mason Rudolph gets sacked by Myles Garrett, and he breaks the record against Mason Rudolph.
I think you actually are onto something there.
It would be the best thing in the world for this record. Just to know, like, the craziest, weirdest history. Because if you're listening, you're like, I don't get it. What's this about? Myles Garrett at one point hit a man with a helmet.
Hit him in the face.
Hit him in the face. And that man was Mason Rudolph. There was a lot of controversy around what happened and why it occurred. Doesn't matter. What does matter is that it was a big time issue. People were calling for his arrest if you were online, which, that's the funniest, they're like, he assaulted a man with a weapon. It's attempted murder. Get him out of here. Myles Garrett has gone on to have an amazing career. Mason Rudolph has gone on to have the career he's had. But it would just be amazing.
I think I didn't even consider that matchup. Because the Browns and Steelers play twice a year, but Mason Rudolph hasn't started very many games. But yeah, I really think that it's likely the Steelers will be up. There's a good chance, and I love the idea of it being Mason Rudolph. I love it.
Okay. Alvin Kamara for the New Orleans Saints. He has not been in a game since week 12. He's not going to be in a game in week 17. I can't imagine they bring him back.
Saints are looking nice, but in Kamara's absence hasn't really mattered.
Yep.
Saints are looking nice, though. They really are.
Yeah.
They finished with 7 wins. Shuck feels like he's going to be the guy next year, and I think they should roll with him.
And they're going against the Titans, so there's like a potential here in the backfield. So Taysom Hill, Audric Estime, Evan Hull, those guys are going to get carries. Can you play any of them?
No.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? It just stinks. But I agree with you. It's too risky in the championship week. You cannot roll out Audric Estime, and Taysom Hill is only this. Okay, wait. Who was the tight end we were talking about earlier that I said to sit? I have it on my list. Give me a second. Colby Parkinson versus Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. I think this is going to be. Let me fact check this. No, actually. So last week was Taysom Hill, Cam Jordan, and the other guy. I forget his name. Demario Davis. There was talk that they're longtime Saints players. That was going to be their last ever home game, possibly because they're older. They might retire. So they might have played their last home stadium game of their career. But I could see Taysom Hill going out with a bang. It's hard just because I love the Rams offense so much more. I'd still lean Colby probably, but Taysom Hill every year has that one game, and he hasn't really had it yet.
That where I'm at is I think I would do this if I was an underdog.
Okay.
I would be willing to throw Taysom Hill in on the off chance that he has that game, and it's against the Titans, which means it's so possible. Because they don't have running backs either. Like, he could score 2 rushing touchdowns from short range, and who would be shocked? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not prescribing that necessarily, but I'm saying it could happen.
It wouldn't be shocking, yeah. Taysom Hill, I think it was this past week, he became the first player in NFL history to record 1,000 passing, rushing, and receiving yards. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. It's been a unique career for Taysom. Say what you will about how annoying it's been as a fantasy manager, as an actual football player. It's been interesting, and it's been unique. He has been that Joker role as one of the only few people who's really done it.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of defined it really.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I get out of this. Taysom Hill becomes a more interesting play, just in general. David Montgomery had an illness, listed as non-participant on Tuesday, which means he's on the injury report. He's going to play.
Yeah, don't start him. Like we said.
Yeah. I don't think we need to talk more about the running back game there. Kamani Vidal got hurt when the Chargers beat the Cowboys. Described as day-to-day right now. If Vidal is not there, that just elevates Hampton so much. But it's against the Texans.
Yeah, Genty had a great game against the Texans, but I don't expect the Texans' defense is so good they're not going to allow back-to-back rookie running backs to smash.
No, and I have a strong feeling that the Texans were overlooking the Raiders as they should in getting ready for this Chargers game.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the Raiders like, hey, look, we have two good players. They're playing well. I'm like, oh crap. Okay, wait, hold on. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna let the same thing happen again like that. Of course, that's not saying bench Hampton. This does raise his ceiling as far as what you would have expected from this week otherwise.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason is out, by the way. So just checking on that. Bashal Tootin might be back. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I think is that all the injuries?
That's all the injuries for running backs.
Okay.
We're on to wide receivers now. I'm telling you, man, this is a rough one. Okay, we'll go through the wide receivers faster because we've already talked a lot of these games too, though. So let's start off with Rashee Rice, not a new injury, but he's out for the season now. Doesn't matter. You don't play Chiefs players right now. Don't do it. No. Amon-Ra St. Brown is listed as questionable. It's a knee injury. Yeah, agreed. There's 100% agreed. Marvin Harrison Jr. is listed as questionable. It's not. There's no real indication that he has a new injury. So if he doesn't miss extra practice, I would guess he's playing. Doesn't really mean you can play him, but he could be playing. They're going against the Bengals, which means Trey McBride will eat them alive.
Yes.
Roma Dunze. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything new that's happening here. There's not really anything new that's happening.
I haven't heard anything. I was thinking there was rumors and understandable rumors that if the Bears were still needing to make the playoffs, that Rome would start. But if he might be shut down for the rest of the season, if the foot injury hasn't gotten much better, they might just save him for playoffs, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think they could.
I agree with that. Devontae Adams. I'm looking if this is anything new. He's made really good progress. I can't imagine that he makes it back at all until the end of until the postseason, because that hamstring strain looked pretty bad.
It did look really bad, and it's been lingering. He's older. I think that the Rams, having lost to the Seahawks, they're still wanting to lock up that 1 seed away from the Seahawks and the Bears. I think those are the 3 teams that are in contention for it. The Seahawks definitely have the leg up, but yeah, you really got to weigh, like, is it worth starting Devontae if you're Sean McVay just to get the 1 seed when you really need him down the stretch?
Yeah, and with the way Puka's been playing right now, I would have to. I can't imagine the argument for yes.
Yeah,
like let Puka just take over this end of the season and then bring in Devontae again.
I will say that if Devontae does start and perhaps he's expected to be limited, he's still worth starting in fantasy because of that red zone upside, wherein he just needs to stand there and catch balls and not have a lot of,
it's true.
Exertion. Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if Devontae Adams catches a touchdown pass at the 1 yard line and then he does the celebration dance? I'm throwing that out there because this is where my head goes with these things. Okay, Luther Burden. Have you heard anything about his availability for the next game?
I think he was questionable going into the game against the Packers, so it doesn't appear to be a serious ankle injury. I think if he does play, he's a good start, though. I think not just because of the matchup, but just because of the Rome injury. Maybe if Rome does start, you maybe pivot off of Luther, but I feel like Luther's gotten to the point where he's proven himself that he is a very big part of his offense. Now that they finally have been starting him over Zacchaeus, took him long enough. Not like he's ever going to be a big upside play or big like floor play, but I think if he starts, he's definitely worthy of flex consideration.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Even if they have clinched, they could, a rookie like him is going to be used just for development.
Yeah.
Pearsall, if Pearsall is playing, which he did log a limited practice, or have you any interest in playing Pearsall?
It's so hard to say. It's such the Bears-Niners game like isn't unbiased just as a football. That's going to be game of the week for sure. And they're playing for their respective division titles. Niners are in contention for the 1 seed too, so they're playing for the 1 seed. So having said all that, it really feels like a shootout, and I would almost really lean towards not starting Ricky, but the factor of Kittle possibly not playing, plus the fact that the one game he did start healthy the week before last, he looked great.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's worthy of starting if he is playing.
If I'm a Juwan Jennings owner, I hope to all heck he doesn't play.
Is Juwan hurt though?
I don't think Juwan is hurt.
Okay.
Juwan had an excellent game last week too.
He did.
Juwan, when he hits the lone target, is amazing. So that's my biggest takeaway. Is if Pearsall plays, it hurts Juwan, and Pearsall, I would be okay with playing him, especially in the situation with the injuries we have. But it's not guaranteed. I mean, we've seen Pearsall miss so many weeks and still be limited.
I gotta look here. What did Purdy do? What was his final fantasy score? I'm looking here. Last week.
Let's see. I don't remember the score off the top of my head, but I can find it real fast.
I'm looking here too. Purdy, I think, had the best. Maybe not fantasy score, but he had like the highest. I don't even really respect PFF, but he has the highest PFF score.
40.9 in a 6-point passing touchdown league. 295 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. So 5 touchdowns is going to do really great by you. Juwan Jennings had a really good game with only 1 touchdown too. So only 1 touchdown, you know what I mean? Only one of the 5. But if Purdy's slinging it like that, you want to play pass catchers.
Yeah. And Purdy, like we talked about a few weeks ago, him being a really solid start for the fantasy playoffs. He's definitely has proven that so far. And it's never a great matchup against the Bears.
If Kittle's out, I'm definitely okay with both of them. If they're both in, and if Kittle is in, then I really kind of want Pearsall to be out so you can play Jennings and Kittle.
I think if all of them are starting, I think that Kittle and Jennings are both startable, and Pearsall you could start, but I would rank better. And if Kittle's out, I would start Jennings and Pearsall.
And if you have this many 49ers to choose between, then you've got some fun issues. We'll move on. Pat Bryant, wide receiver for the Broncos, is out this week.
That was a really rough injury.
Yeah.
What injury was it?
So I think it's officially, what is it listed as here? It's just concussion protocol. So
really?
Just a concussion is what it's listed as far as I can tell right here. Maybe another injury report might say something different, but yeah. And he can't clear it right now, so he's out for sure. No shock. There's just no shock.
He was, he might have been in the fencing position, but he was on the field for an injury timeout for a good 3 minutes before he even got lifted into the gurney to go to the hospital. So feels like he's probably not going to play again this regular season.
Yeah, and it was nasty. Like that Jaguars player hit him right in the head as he was coming down. So full on, just bad. Does this impact anyone for you? Like Troy Franklin's going to get more targets, but they're going against a Chiefs team that wants to lose.
I think it does impact Troy Franklin for me. I mean, he's fallen off while Cortland's gone up, but I think this is a week. I mean, and Pat Bryant hasn't been particularly special, but he's still gotten a good amount of targets. I think he's the clear wide receiver 3 on this team. So if he's out, I think that Franklin's in consideration for flex play this week.
Yeah. I don't disagree. How about I'll just throw this name out there. I can take a guess on what you're going to say already, but Evan Ingram.
I did think about him. That's a gutty gut check start for sure, but I don't hate it. I
I
think
think
he's
there's potential.
floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, better floor than usual, but you don't really need a floor depending on what you're playing for. If you're playing for the fifth place spot maybe in your league, I wouldn't hate starting Ingram. Um, but I'd probably put him on the same level as like a Colby Parkinson.
And the vibes are bad in Kansas City, so I really just think that the Broncos are just going to run over them.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we'll move on to tight ends. That was the last of the wide receivers. That's wonderful.
Oh, we got,
Brock
we got one more,
Bowers.
we got one more wide receiver that was just announced today.
Oh, shoot, okay, hit me.
AJ Brown's teeth.
Oh yeah, of course, AJ Brown and the teeth, man's teeth. Well, you got to go to the dentist. You got to go to the dentist sometimes. You know what I mean?
Was it? I don't know if this was a joke or was it actually a wisdom teeth extraction?
I would guess it's not a joke. I mean, at some point, I guess these players have to do it. I don't know. I worked at the dentist office for a little bit. Let me tell you, when a tooth injury comes up, it doesn't matter who you are. It's so painful. You got to go deal with it.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess
if it's a yeah. If you had a
I
wisdom tooth extraction and it was like a surgical one, he's gonna play. I don't care. I guess it doesn't really matter. They're still gonna find out a way. He's gonna show up with gauze in his mouth. Whoa.
Merry Christmas. AJ Brown. I'm looking like it was a wisdom teeth procedure. And I think that's kind of negligible because it was just announced today, so it wasn't like an injury he sustained during practice. And then I just read it was for wisdom teeth. So yeah, he's gonna play.
Makes the Saquon pick look fun. Yeah. Here's hoping that he doesn't have any like serious issues with his wisdom teeth. Man, that would stink.
I got it out, and honestly, it wasn't too bad. It was fun.
Yeah. Brock Bowers was where I was going to go with this. The tight end, Brock Bowers, he's out for the season, placed on IR. Same knee injury he's been dealing with since week 1, which again to me is just the Raiders saying we cannot afford to win a game. Don't you dare go out there because you're too good for us to make you look bad.
Yeah,
sit out.
I hope for your sake that they don't lose.
Oh my gosh!
That they don't beat the Chiefs. Sorry.
Like the Chiefs game feels like they've been setting up this whole season just to give us a middle finger right at the end.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're gonna miss the playoffs. Well, you're never gonna get your quarterback. You know. God, man. Anyways, this is a good injury. Not that any injury is good, but that it's not something new.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers, you've lost him. That sucks. That really does suck for fantasy. Michael Mayer might be a player you can play. He is a competent tight end. And he wasn't like super involved because the offense really stunk in the beginning, but there's a chance that he does take over some of this. And I think if they actually give him the volume that Brock Bowers was seeing, which they won't, but if they actually did, I think Michael Mayer would be a pretty good player.
I thought about him when you were talking about Trey Tucker. Just because, yeah, I mean, he is a competent tight end. He's not just some guy. Like, he was drafted early second round just a couple years ago. And, I mean, this is maybe just, I'm pulling this out of nowhere, but maybe if he has a couple great games to end the season, they could look to trade him, maybe. I mean, just because his draft value would be at an all-time high, he'd still have at least 1 or 2 more years on his rookie contract that he's been, since they drafted Bowers, correct me if I'm wrong, but since they've drafted Bowers, he's been one that at least in the media and fantasy community has been talked about as someone that could be traded.
Yeah, that is correct. Now the team never seemed to really want to trade him. He left and was gone for most of last season with the mental health thing. Right. I don't want to speak on that because I don't know what it was exactly, but he did come back to the team, and this offseason he was really excited to work with him. And he's had some injuries. He looked good at times too, though, as a second tight end. I think there are a lot of teams where he could step in and be really relevant. He seems really polished, and he just doesn't have the opportunity because, of course, they got Bowers, and Bowers is just ridiculous.
He strikes me as the kind of tight end that could be in the league for a very long time, even if he's always just a tight end too.
Yeah. like any one of those tight ends that has Smith is their last name.
Yes, great example.
I think Lee Smith was one that I remember. They just hang around forever.
Yeah.
George Kittle, he got hurt and missed the final drives and against when the 49ers beat the Colts. It's a mid to low ankle sprain, and that stinks. It's not like the worst injury of all time, but heading towards the end of the season here where they're fighting for 1 seed and they're going towards the playoffs, you'd really like to have Kittle in there.
That's really, I mean, that's even harder than the Adams injury if you're a coach. Like, do you just let Kittle rest up and just be like, hey, we're getting the wild card. Maybe we'll play the Bucks or the Panthers and just call it good? Or do you like actually want to go for the 1 seed? Because the Niners have a good path to it. I mean, personally, I hope that they don't get the 1 seed because the Bears are getting close to it. But yeah, that's hard.
Things have clicked, and here's the thing: is that they go against the Bears and the Seahawks. So if they are deciding to go for it, they need the firepower.
Yeah, and if they beat both those teams, they're the 1 seed.
And they'll probably be favored because they'll have the momentum of the world behind them at that point.
Yeah.
If with San Francisco, the way I figure is that they know this is crazy, but I bring it down to one player almost is that if Christian McCaffrey has been healthy this whole season, I think they know they have to capitalize because that's not something that happens all the time. And he's such a driver of that offense. He kind of just keeps it clicking no matter what. That I wouldn't be shocked that if they beat the Bears, Kittle comes back after that.
I could see that. I think that maybe just like a week, especially if a mid to low ankle sprain, I think just 1 week is probably sufficient. And again, not that a single day matters that much, but it's going to be a 6-day turnaround as opposed to 7 days because of Monday Night Football. So, just that extra day or two of rest could really go a long way.
And that's I don't expect him to play this week personally. I think that this is the week to see, can we do it, or do we just take what we got, pack it, and get ready for the playoffs?
And I will say that if Kittle is out, there's a very, very good chance that Jake Tonjes is on your waiver wire. So that's just an easy, not quite 1-for-1, but like if you have Kittle and he doesn't start, you can start Jake Tonjes and feel pretty good.
Tonjes with Purdy has looked like a pretty good connection. It doesn't look like they look like they have chemistry already. There's not a lot to learn.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson is out. Vikings, I don't care much past that. Just don't play anyone. Njoku's not coming back. I mean, I would be shocked if they brought him back for no reason. If he does come back, I wouldn't play him. Keep Harold Fannin in there. And then Dalton Kincaid. This is interesting because Kincaid has been such a strange player this season to me. Like, he seems at times to be the focal point and the linchpin of the Bills' offense, and at other times completely irrelevant.
He's like the quintessential fantasy tight end because he really does. He really is truly that the tight end position being so boomer bust. He really is the quintessential boomer bust player too.
He hasn't had above a 40% snap share since week 5. And he's still dealing with this knee injury. If he does play, if he doesn't play. So the Bills are going against the Eagles. Not the best matchup for tight ends.
Yeah. They got Zach Bond and some other good linebackers, Nicole Dean and the rookie. Really good linebacker room.
I would hope to have someone else. Like, okay, Jake Tonjes with Kittle out versus Kincaid, and I think I'm going Tonjes.
Me too.
Yeah, so Kincaid's someone who I would be okay with. Would be actively looking to pivot off of if I could. Even there's just not a ton of upside in this matchup for me.
Here's a very random one. I don't know why it just pops into my head, but I would almost start Jawan Johnson over Dalton Kincaid. Kind of crazy, but Johnson's gets the targets, and the Titans are not as good as the Eagles.
And the pass catchers and running backs from the Saints are all gone, so they're like down to not very much.
Yeah,
like I said, we were talking about Taysom Hill, and I was talking about him as a running back. Think about that. Yeah. Jawan Johnson Yeah, I also would do it as well because the thing that's most annoying is that like Dawson Knox isn't the better receiver, but Dawson Knox still siphons off enough from this tight end position that it's just
I,
hurts overall.
I think actually now that I mention it, I think a good comp to Michael Mayer would be Dawson Knox. But they're not
Mm-hmm.
the tight end one, but they're still super reliable, and they Dawson Knox has had a long career. I think that
Mm-hmm.
exactly like with the Kincaid injury, if he's not necessary to play, either he wouldn't play or he'd be very limited. Yeah, like you said, I wouldn't necessarily start Dawson Knox, but like basically what I'm saying is the Bills don't need Kincaid.
Right, right. Okay, and that's all I have on my injury report. Did I miss anyone in that hour-long injury report that we just read off?
I don't think so. I did want to just quickly mention, just because it could be fantasy relevant in the future, is Isaiah Likely is at an all-time low of vibes with the Ravens. Ravens gave Mark Andrews a contract. Isaiah Likely's in the last year of his rookie deal, and there was after the Patriots game, I think fans were yelling at Likely like something about like go team or something, and he was like, "Oh, we got nothing to root for." I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the vibes are at an all-time low, and it's Likely's never been super fantasy relevant, but it's almost a lock that he won't be back on the Ravens next year. So it makes me wonder if is he just completely out, mentally checked out of the Ravens, or is he actually going to play really really hard to get a contract somewhere else? I don't know the answer to that, but it's interesting.
You'd hope it'd be the second, but
Yeah,
man, with Tyler Huntley in there, it's complicated.
yeah. Fantasy wise, if Lamar was starting, then that would be a question of like maybe Likely do you look at him this week because he's had big games. But I think if Huntley's starting, it's irrelevant. But just something to consider.
Lamar should not have removed the ping pong tables from that locker room.
No,
Like it didn't help Lamar. Like let me tell you this: don't stop having fun. Ask Joe Burrow. Don't stop having fun. Like the ping pong tables weren't the issue, dude. Like, and this isn't your fault, Lamar. But when you're this injured and you're in the MVP the season before, like
keep it light. Yeah,
yeah, like keep like don't go in there and be like, yeah, I know I'm hurt and I can't play, guys, but also you don't have fun.
no.
It sucks. It's just
However, inversely of that, I guess the Eagles just a few weeks ago got rid of the, I think it was the positivity bunny.
yeah.
It's been really good since then. So pick battles maybe.
And look, ping pong, fun, enjoyable sport for kids and adults. Positivity bunnies that look like Easter bunnies that are inflatable, probably fun more for only kids, not adults. So there's a level of like don't talk down to your players either. Don't be like,
Yeah.
I know what you need. You need an inflatable.
No, you need ping pong tables if you're gonna have fun. I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see Marty Supreme.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Okay. Sick. Go do it, man. All right. Have a nice, good luck championship week. I hope you win if you listen to us. Get out of here. Go enjoy it.
And Merry Christmas. Don't forget about the milk and cookies. Even if you're not expecting Santa, if you put them out, he might show up.
Dude,
And that's cool.
I forgot to say Merry Christmas this whole time. Dude, sick kids makes everything so much harder. And then anyways, Merry Christmas, everybody. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy whatever holidays you may celebrate. Good luck championship week. We'll be back next week posting things throughout as well. So don't worry. We'll be talking about our postseason wrap up as far as fantasy goes. So Doink out.
Doink out.